outside fast on, Ballynaclash.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. Seth Merrow and Sully Crotty. Sully, good morning.
Good morning, Seth. How are you?
Very good. Want to thank our friends at Woodbine for their sponsorship. Woodbine, pick, bet, and cheer on great racing north of the border. Had them in the mix yesterday during OTB Live. We'll have them in the mix again today. Unfortunately, we lost Belmont yesterday with some inclement weather, but hopefully they're back and ready to roll this afternoon. Churchill Downs opening up after Keeneland wrapped up their meet yesterday. We'll take a look at that closing day stake in a little bit, the Fayette, and in fact we'll do some stakes recaps. Stakes recap segment also a little late with stakes yesterday. We're going to go overseas for one, and again the Fayette. But I had a couple of 2-year-olds down at Keeneland that I think are going to be worth watching going back to Thursday. And there was one yesterday that maybe a more of a better ride. It was a nice performance by a first-time starter, but the ride was pretty good too. So we'll take a look at some of those, and then maybe just preview some Breeders' Cup races. Did a bit of that yesterday with some horses that may be story horses to watch. But we'll take a little preview of some Breeders' Cup action as well. Handicapping segment, we'll give you some ideas for this afternoon, and then towards the end of the program, the Big A, Anthony Stabile will jump on board. You see him all the time in the pregame show, knocking heads with Andy down there, but he's on his way to Louisville for HRRN, Horse Racing Radio Network. Our friends Mike and Michelle Penna and the team headed down to cover the Breeders' Cup, so I thought maybe we'd get some Breeders' Cup thoughts from Anthony as well, as again, he's headed down for radio coverage all week long at Churchill Downs. I was watching this morning the workouts. Breeders' Cup always does a great job in the lead up, the morning programming. We've been covered it here on the network, and some of the main players were out there. Catholic Boy was out there this morning. Promises Fulfilled looked pretty good this morning. Imperial Hint looked very good this morning as well. So it's interesting to watch the workouts in the morning, and we're in that period now where pretty much the last serious works will have happened, and then over the next few days, just kind of maintenance stuff.
Yeah, and as you said, the coverage of the Breeders' Cup workouts, they really are fantastic on all social media platforms of the Breeders' Cup, and especially on their Twitter page. They usually go live on there, so definitely check that out. But as you said, they're kind of winding down, and all the serious work is done. So and a couple cool down works on the track later on this week, but I did see Catholic Boy's work, and you know, he looks phenomenal. Looked like he did going into the Travers, just based off a couple of those works.
Yeah, and Joe Christofek this morning was saying on the show, historically 3-year-olds do okay in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Jonathan Thomas, they had him on, and he said, you know, it's always a big step up. We're stepping out of our age group, but 3-year-olds do well historically in the Classic. It's going to be interesting to see, because I think McKenzie comes in good form too. You have Mendelssohn also. I'm not as high on Mendelssohn maybe, although the last race was okay for that one. But it's going to be a lot of fun going forward over the next week as we count down to a big Breeders' Cup week. Do want to remind you, starting tomorrow, Bet 200, Get 200 here at Capital OTB. If you sign up for a brand new Capital Bets account, no better time to do it than that Breeders' Cup week period. where when you bet $200 into your new account, you get $200 put into your account by Capital OTB. That kicks off tomorrow, October 29th, and runs through the 4th for new Capital Bets account holders. Do also want to remind you, while we're talking promos, today it's an NFL Sunday day here at the Clubhouse Racebook. Swing down, see all the NFL action, and enjoy all the racing action as well every Sunday during the NFL season here at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. The same location for next Thursday's Breeders' Cup Seminar. Next Thursday, November 1st, 7 o'clock. Sully, Mike Callahan, and I will be here at the Clubhouse Racebook giving out some thoughts on the Breeders' Cup. It should be a lot of fun. It always is, and the more the merrier. Swing on down. Breeders' Cup Seminar, Thursday night, starting at 7 here at the Clubhouse Racebook. And again, you saw the graphic up there. Don't forget to reserve your seat for Breeders' Cup action here at the Clubhouse Racebook. Always get a great crowd down here, and it's always a lot of fun to watch the 2 big days with a big crowd. So make your reservation now to stop by the Clubhouse Racebook for the Breeders' Cup. I want to go back to Friday, Sully, because I know you were up at Queensbury.
Yep.
Fill us in a little bit there. I watched some of your cut-ins. Sounded like there was a pretty good crowd in the background, and everybody walked away with a little bit of dough.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great crowd there at Queensbury. That was my first time up there. The branch it's beautiful up there. So if you live in that neighborhood, you haven't been to the Queensbury branch, I highly suggest it. It's a really nice branch, and the turnout was great on Friday. Overall, with the bankroll, we did all right. Everyone left with a little bit of money there, which is ultimately the goal. But we had 2 or 3 bad beats. I mean, we lost twice by a nose, once by a neck when we had win place bets that really would have put us over the top. But overall, it was a really good bankroll, and excited for the bankroll coming up next week for the Breeders' Cup with you, Mike, and myself. So, but the next time we will have a live bankroll from an easy bet, I will be there the day after Thanksgiving, live from O'Toole's in Colony. So that should be a lot of fun as well. But still looking forward to this week's bankroll.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the Breeders' Cup bankroll, because today is the last day to sign up here at the Clubhouse Racebook. 25 folks will get selected here, and the 31st is the last day to sign up online. So if you want to come down here to the Clubhouse Racebook, 25 folks will be selected out of the group that have put in entry slips down here. 50 folks selected online. Again, today the last day to make your entry here at the Clubhouse Racebook, and the 31st, the last day to make your entry online. Jump on board, see if you can get on the team for the $3,000 Breeders' Cup bankroll. It should be a lot of fun. All right, let's jump in and take a look at some of the stakes action of note. And as I said, a couple other things to look at as well, but I wanted to go international. We had it yesterday, and I just ran out of time yesterday. But today, I think we have the full race with the audio, so I'll kind of lead into it. This was Friday night our time. Friday night about 2 a.m. It was 5 o'clock down in Australia, but it was the Cox Plate down there, and we got a chance to see Winks again, just the phenomenal, the superstar mare down there in Australia, 7 years old. Just a phenomenal story down there, and I've tried to put some of her races on in the past, so you'd be aware of the story if you're not watching international racing. But the Cox Plate is, again, we've all heard of the Melbourne Cup, but the Cox Plate may be more prestigious down there in Australia. It's certainly one of, if not the top race down there. Winks was going for her 4th Cox Plate victory. The win was her 29th in a row, her 22nd grade or Group 1 victory. I mean, just phenomenal. I think 29 in a row. It's incredible.
It really is.
And they're all top competition. I mean, 22 grade 1s. So again, we'll let you take a look at it. I stayed up, and the interesting thing is, I'm kind of a night person anyway, so it wasn't that miraculous, but I wanted to see it live, and so, like I say, it was about 2 a.m. Friday evening into Saturday morning. Interesting part is, I still got to bed an hour and a half before the fans of the Red Sox or the Dodgers.
That's why I was up. I was watching a World Series, and I knew that race was going on, so I had to switch to the race. But yeah, that game got over at 4 or something.
Crazy. But again, we'll watch it. Winks is the number 6 horse. Blue silks, blue cap, there's a white M on, so if you look at the silks, it's kind of a blue and white silks, white pom-pom on top of the cap. So she's going to be easy to pick out, turn it for home. And typically she sits far back and makes the big swooping moves, Zenyatta style. Friday night she was a little closer to the pace, but on the turn you see her start to make her move, and it's very impressive. 1.25 miles on the turf. Again, the Grade 1 Cox Plate down in Australia from Friday night our time, Saturday afternoon Australia time. The Great Winx up next.
From barrier number 6 began beautifully. D'Argento towards the inside began well. Kingsville Dreams out the back after a few strides. So they complete 100 metres. D'Argento on the inside of Ben Battle. They're not going fast. Rostropovich out 3 deep. Winx is settling a bit closer. Savvy Cope behind those horses. Further back Avilius the inside. A gap to Humidor. And Kingsville Dream is last of all. Out of the straight, 1,600 metres to run. D'Argento in front by 3/4 of a length. Ben Battle. Rostropovich is 3 wide early. Savvy Cope behind those horses 4th, and they were followed by Winx, who's got a lovely position at the moment. 5th one off the fence, 2 lengths of Villiers, Humidor. Kingsville Dream's going to be pulled up. Kingsville Dream is out of the race as they head to the back section now. 1,250 metres to go, so already some early drama. D'Argento joined by the international raider Rostropovich. 1.5 lengths to Ben Battle, 3rd as they reach the 1,000 metres, and the speed's got a lot better. Savvy Cope is 4th on the inside, 2 for the back is Winx. They were followed by Avilius, and Humidor is last of all. Heading towards the top corner at the 850. It's D'Argento and Rostropovich together. 1.25 lengths Ben Battle. Savvy Cope the inside as they reach the 750. Further back is Winx in plenty of air. 1.5 lengths to Humidor, and Avilius the inside is last of all. 600 metres to go in the Cox Plate. Rostropovich just in front of D'Argento, Ben Battle. Now Bowman gets moving on Winx. She's only 1.5 lengths to 2 lengths off the lead, followed by Savvy Cope. Rostropovich just in front of D'Argento, but here she comes, and the valley roars. Winx on the outside moves up, takes the lead from Ben Battle, then Rostropovich and D'Argento into the straight at the 200 metres. It's Winx in front by a length. Ben Battle's going with her. Winx 3/4 Ben Battle. Winx is staving off Ben Battle. Cometh the hour, cometh the legend. Greatness, Winx has done it. It's Equine Utopia. 2 lengths to Ben Battle, Humidor, then a gap to Avilius. Behind those horses, then Rostropovich, D'Argento, Savvy Cope, and Kingsville Dream has been pulled up in the back straight.
Yeah, it was a bona fide field of international stakes quality horses there. And she made it look easy. I mean, the chart margin was a couple of lengths, I guess. But Ben Battle, the horse that ran second, was, you knew in the last 1/8 or 16th of a mile that horse was beaten, and so that was just as easy as it gets, really. Winx over Ben Battle over Humidor. Ben Battle a Godolphin runner for Saeed Bensour. Again, it was a nice field in there. Cox Plate number 4. Again, to put it in perspective, it's maybe like winning the Breeders' Cup Classic 4 times. It's certainly like winning the Whitney or the Jockey Club Gold Cup 4 times. It's a phenomenal thing. But her 29th consecutive victory, just to keep a horse in form like that, to run at the top level of the game and win 29 times is kind of mind-boggling. 22 Grade 1s. Again, if you don't follow international racing, I wanted to put that out there because, this is one of those delights we will not see for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, she really is incredible, and I haven't watched all her races in a row, but the last couple I stayed up to watch, and she has such a fan base as well. They have their own Twitter page. I think they have a couple 100,000 followers, and everyone's just going nuts. And all around the world, everyone's retweeting and saying "Go Winx." So she's a big star, not just in Australia, but all around the world in the racing world.
Yeah, there was, I think, 38,500 down in Moonee Valley Friday night our time, Saturday their time, which was jammed to the rafters for that place. And in the television coverage you could see, and as they got close to post time, the commentators were saying there is not a spot on the rail virtually anywhere on the track where you can stand any longer. It was all full, but phenomenal performance again from a phenomenal. And it looks like the career may be winding down. They came out of this and didn't make any commitment going forward. So it'll be interesting to see what the game plan is. But that's one of those where you really can when trainers say this a lot of times, I kind of think, well, that's not quite true. But a lot of times you hear, well, what more can they do? He's done as much as he can. She's done as much as he can. But, there you go. Wink's taking a little stroll in the ocean there in front of the cityscape. Nice shot there of the great race mayor. But again, in her case, I think if they say she's done it all, what more can she do? Yeah, pretty true.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be a way to go out right there.
Yeah, out on top.
Absolutely. So, I mean, but then again, she could come back in 3 weeks and do it again. And then, so, I mean, she's been doing that for 29 straight now. So, it's going to be interesting to see. One thing I don't know off the top of my head, I wonder what the record is for races in a row with Aiden on the way back. I wonder if she has that.
No, there is that. What's the name of the horse that I think Kinksum, something like that, Kinksum. And I think it's 40-something.
Okay, so she's got a little bit to go.
But this was a long
Right.
time ago.
Right.
But like kind of the modern and top class and that kind of thing. I think she's certainly, if not at the top of the list, hovering in that vicinity. But again, Wink's big performance Friday night our time in the Cox Plate down in Australia. Again, a little late here yesterday stakes-wise. There were 3 nice stakes planned at Belmont yesterday. Obviously, they were canceled. The Bold Ruler slated to go Friday. The 2 turf stakes, I believe, are scheduled for next Sunday, I think, from Belmont. Now they'll be moved over to Aqueduct, obviously. But yesterday at Keeneland, it was the Fayette Grade 2, couple $100,000, 3-year-olds and up, going 1 mile and an 1/8. And I think if you listen to the handicappers report yesterday, as well as Racing Across America, Brian Nadeau and I in the handicapper support, and then I talked to Jeremy Plank yesterday as well. I think we were all a little dicey on Hofburg. Brian Nadeau was saying likely a much shorter price than the 5-2 morning line, and did go down to 8-5, just a smidge of a favorite over Leah Frick. I like Leah Frick coming out of the Woodward. Ran a third behind Yoshida and Gunnevera, a couple of horses pointing for the Breeders' Cup Classic next week. So I thought, given that performance, this was a nice spot. And I had Prime Attraction underneath. That one gets away from the shadow of Accelerate out in Southern California. And it will be number 5, Leah Frick, over number 1, Prime Attraction. I put Hofburg in the 3rd spot, just on one of those. I want to protect myself in case the horse does run big, but I was not convinced. Hofburg as the 8-5 favorite, 6th in the field of 7 here. I thought Hence might be interesting as a long shot play. Hence the number 3 just misses the 3rd spot by a head. But again, it's Leah Frick and Prime Attraction kind of ding-donging it. But Leah Frick gets the win by a sharp margin of a head in here, coming out of that nice race. The nice 3rd place finish in a field of 14 in the Woodward.
Yeah, I mean, Prime Attraction, I think if you liked that horse was 2-1, I think, on the morning line. And there was a point where the horse was walking around the paddock, you were getting 9-1, 8-1, and you still got a really nice price at 7-2 for that horse. And it just really was a nice performance, both by the winner and Prime Attraction. But I was the same way. I didn't use Hofburg in any of my picks there. Nothing against Hofburg, but, you know,
it's one of those horses where there's a lot of buzz, but just has not lived up to it.
Exactly. There has been a lot of buzz throughout the whole career, and now you're facing older company as well. I really couldn't even take the horse on a short price. I thought anything 2-1 or less, 3-1 or less, I would stay away with. And obviously, the 2 best horses in the race on paper ran 1-2 there. So, and I agree. I thought Hence was interesting there in that spot. A horse that was on that little bit weaker of a 3-year-old class last year, or a couple years ago, but still ran an okay 4th. But the top 2 ran 1-2 in that race.
Yeah, Hence had a couple of wins in the last 3 starts, but at Albuquerque and Remington, and then those bookended a bigger circuit, and so he was questionable coming back to the stake at Keeneland. But I thought it's Asmussen, a horse with some form, probably be a little bit of a price, and did go off at 9-1, just under 10-1. So if you wanted to play around with that one, you just missed pulling him in at the bottom half of the trifecta there. But again, a nice performance and a smart move, a nice spot to pick, getting away from some of the big boys trying the Fayette on closing day at Keeneland with Leah Frick. All right, I wanted to show a couple of two-year-old races as well, because I think they may be performers that are kind of worth looking forward and seeing what they do coming out of these career debut efforts. So I want to go back to Thursday. Both of these were horses I liked and had on top in the mix when I talked about them on OTB Live, and it worked out nicely. But going back to Thursday, Boldor, first-time starter for from Steve Asmussen. They paid $700,000 at Ocala April. The horse had a little bit of breeding, had some siblings that were win early types. You saw some nice workouts underneath for the Steve Asmussen trainee. I thought this horse was going to be live in the career debut. Boldor is going to be the number 2. Gets away at 4-1, pays a little over $10. But second place horse, and Jeremy Plonk mentioned this yesterday, Supersteed was a first-time starter for Larry Jones by Super Saver. They ding-dong it down the stretch. And I said to Jeremy, this is what you like to see from a career debut from a 2-year-old. Boldor just will not let this horse go by. But as Jeremy said, keep your eyes on Supersteed. This one next time out is going to be one to watch. You may not get a price, but Supersteed's okay too. And as Jeremy said, you get a ding-dong battle, and the rest of the field is a length behind. Maybe it's something. But they were first and second, and what separated second from third? 11 lengths. So these are going to be a couple of nice 2-year-olds going forward, I think. Again, Boldor was the winner. Supersteed ran second, but watch Supersteed next time to kind of break through the maiden ranks, I would think.
Yeah, and the one thing about both Keeneland meets is you learn a lot about 2-year-olds, especially in the spring, but even in the fall when the racing season's kind of wrapping up, and there's still some 2-year-olds that can make a name for themselves as 3-year-olds, and that's what's so great about Keeneland and their 2-year-old races. But yeah, that both of those horses, obviously the one horse breaking the maiden, but a really gutsy performance there on the rails. So definitely a horse to look out for the next time out.
Yeah, you get a ding-dong battle. Both of them should come out and benefit from that. It'll be interesting to see where Boldor goes next. Yesterday at Keeneland, there was a horse called Karuv that I liked, first-time starter, that got away at a nice price. I want to say $26 by Into Mischief. But I wanted to show another maiden special race from yesterday, the 5th race, because Tyler Gaffleone, who had a great meet down there at Keeneland, So Alive, first-time starter from Todd Pletcher, who had a great meet as well. Another Super Saver, as was the Larry Jones horse we just looked at running second. But So Alive, first-time starter by Super Saver, came into this race with a 46 and change bullet workout. So Alive is going to be the number 6 horse. And as we pick it up in the stretch, probably sitting is 6th or 7th. You can see the Chicklet there. Sitting next to last. And you can see Tyler Gaffleone kind of split the field, coming up the middle of the track here. But watch as he kind of has to find a spot for this horse to make a move. And for a 2-year-old to do this at 6 furlongs, he kind of, where am I going? Oh, we'll go here. And then he just sees the opening and gets up. Chart margin is a neck. He was the 3-2 favorite in there. Tapizar's Secret, the horse who ran second, was a Wesley Ward second-time starter who looked all the part of a winner most of the way down the stretch. But again, as they say, we'll watch it again. This was a nice performance for a first-time starters. You think of 2-year-olds giving nice performances, you think of speed on the front end. But when a horse can do this, a 2-year-old can make up ground like this. And not only that, the jock's got to work, and hats off to Tyler Gaffleone, but that the horse then responds as we shift in traffic. This was a pretty impressive performance. Again, name of the horse, So Alive, yesterday at Keeneland.
Yeah, really impressive performance, as you said, going in and out of traffic. Really nice ride by Tyler Gaffleone. Yeah. You kind of already highlighted it. That was, I think, his first fall at Keeneland, and he had a fantastic meet. Usually he stays at GP West or takes some time off before that big championship meet at Gulfstream. But he had a fantastic meet, a really nice ride there. But now Todd has got a lot of choices here with this horse. Obviously, watching that replay, you could easily stretch that horse out a little bit. But a big-time player here. Once again, not really surprising out of the Todd Pletcher barn. You get a big-time player. But again, everything about that ride was great by Gaffalione, and the horse had a ton left, as we saw from the replay.
Yeah, and again, Todd had a great meet down there at Keeneland, too, as they wrapped up yesterday. All right, again, I wanted to also use this time, the pre-entries came out for the Breeders' Cup, and it showed some races yesterday with horses that may be worth keeping our eyes on. Imperial Hint, I showed that one yesterday, talked about that one having workout this morning. And I questioned yesterday, we showed the Vosburg where he gets geared down, and I questioned yesterday, is that what you want? Do you want your horse geared down, or do you want your horse on its toes coming out of the last race? But boy, this horse is a real speedball, I think. The workouts have been great. Again, have to wait for the post positions and whatnot to make final decisions. But as I say, the last eighth of a mile, Castellano, certainly the last 16th of the mile, was putting up brakes on the Vosburg. And normally you think, I'm not sure. God bless them, they pick up the check and don't use all the gas in the tank. But do you want the horse geared down like that, or coming in a little sharper maybe? But he's phenomenal. So we'll see how it works out again after post positions and whatnot. And again, the workout this morning. And they talked to the trainer. Gabby was talking to Louis Carvajal on the backstretch, and he seems pretty confident as well. Talked also about 4-Star Crook as being a horse to watch in her race as a New York bred, in a year where the New York breds have just been phenomenal, and some other horses we hit on as well yesterday. But I want to give it the same idea today, maybe some horses to watch and some interesting angles perhaps. Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint, brand new on the Breeders' Cup calendar, and this one, it's going to be fun because there are some horses coming over from Europe. I'm just not sure this is as much of their game as it is our game now, turf sprinting. So, and that's why I think you see in Europe sometimes the Australians will come over and do very well in turf sprinting over there. You see Wesley Ward go over with the 2-year-olds and do very well over there. I think it's maybe a little more, certainly down in Australia, but maybe even a little more here, our thing. Bulletin from Todd Pletcher, I think, is going to be very, very intriguing. Shang from Wesley Ward, who debuted at Keeneland in April and then went over and won the Norfolk in Ascot in June. But I'm going to pull up another Wesley Ward runner, and we're going to take a look at the Bolton Landing, August 15th up at Saratoga. Stillwater Cove is going to be the number 8 horse here. Stillwater Cove wins this 5-furlong Bolton Landing nicely. This horse debuted like Shang in April at Keeneland, then went over to Royal Ascot. Didn't do well over there, but this was the comeback from Royal Ascot, and gets up. Nice gutsy victory here. Length and 3/4 over Chelsea Cloisters, who is also scheduled to be in for Wesley Ward in this juvenile turf sprint. Subsequently, Stillwater Cove tried the Natalma up at Woodbine. That was a mile on the turf and wound up 5th after having taken the lead. I think that 5th place finish, it is Wesley Ward, so we'll see. But I think that 5th place finish up at Woodbine may darken the form a little bit. I'm going to go back to that race we just looked at, the 5.5 in the Bolton Landing, and hope that maybe get a little price on Stillwater Cove. So that's one I'll look for potentially as some value. As I say, with Wesley Ward, will we get it? But I just think there's other places people can go. The Pletcher Horse Bulletin, Shang. I don't know whether we're going to get 20 to 1 or anything on Stillwater Cove, but if I could get 7 or 8 or 9 to 1, I think, again, maybe an interesting horse at a little bit of a price.
Yeah, and especially in those races in such a deep field, you could definitely get a little bit of a price on Stillwater Cove. And as we saw from the replay, really nice win there at Saratoga, beating Chelsea Cloisters, who had a heartbreaking loss at Keeneland as well a couple weeks ago. Looked like the horse was a winner, and then lost to, I think, I forget the horse's name, but the horse that came in second in the Sanford won that race at Keeneland. So, Chelsea, obviously it's Wesley Ward, so he's going to be loaded in this spot. But Chelsea Cloisters showed a nice effort there from the Bolton Landing. But, it's going to be interesting to see if Ortiz is going to continue to ride Stillwater Clovis. He did in that Bolton Landing at that 10-1 price.
Strike Silver was the horse.
Strike
you were
Silver,
thinking.
right.
Yeah. Breeders' Cup Juvenile Filly. Wanted to look at this because, again, I'm not sure. We'll see when they pull post positions and get an idea maybe with the morning line. But I wanted to show the Alcibiades from Keeneland. Number 3, Restless Rider. We had talked to Ken McPeak that morning, and he was coming into this race pretty confident. I like this performance. Restless Rider, a nice win, chart margin of 2.5. This was win number 3 and start number 4. The only loss, a second in the spin away behind Sippican Harbor. Sippican Harbor also scheduled to be in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Filly. But Restless Rider, again, in this Alcibiades, looked pretty good to me. And I bring this one up because, again, I'm hoping potentially some value. Not this horse probably unlikely to be longer than the third choice, but I'm hoping maybe I can get that third choice. I think the betting public goes for Bellafina coming in from Southern California, and understandably, she'll be the horse to beat. And I want to see if they tilt a little bit in the second spot, maybe to Jaywalk. I think it's going to be between Jaywalk and Restless Rider for the second spot. But if they do tilt to Jaywalk coming out of the win in the Frizette most recently, maybe we get a little touch of value on Restless Rider. Again, you know, it's not going to be longer than the third price in here, but it may be enough to add just a touch of value to that race. Again, off a nice performance there in the Alcibiades.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another race where it is completely wide open, and obviously that's what you want from the Breeders' Cup races, everything like that. But this is probably the race that I personally handicapping. It's going to take a little bit extra time watching a little bit more replays because it is such a difficult race. And on paper, looking at the early PPs, that's the one where it is a little struggling.
Yeah, all 3 of those coming out of nice, you know, that final string of preps, Southern California, Kentucky, and New York. They'll all be taking some action. Certainly, it'll be interesting to see where the betting public winds up going. Finally, Breeders' Cup Distaff, Abel Tasman, Blue Prize coming out of the win in the Spinster. Abel Tasman coming out of a little bit of a dud in the Zenyatta. Can she bounce back for Bob Baffert? But I wanted to take a look at the Cotillion from September 22nd down at Parks, a controversial DQ. To me, it wasn't really controversial, but certainly there was some conversation about it. You see Monomoy Girl turn for home in front, then she kind of ducks in, which forces Midnight Bishu to the outside, and then Monomoy Girl starts to go out, and from the pan shot, it's hard to tell. But when you look at the head-on, it's clear that Monomoy Girl is kind of hurting Midnight Bishu out. I didn't have any big argument with it, but again, there wasn't really any contact, so a lot of people kind of thought, you probably maybe should have left Monomoy Girl up. As I say, when you looked at the head-on, it was a lot more obvious that hurting, which to me, it stops your forward momentum. If you're Midnight Bishu, you don't want to run into the horse that's hurting you out, so you also have to move out. And as I say, if you're moving out, you're not moving forward. So, you know, with the eventual chart margin of a neck, I had no argument with what the stewards did. I probably could have gone either way with it, but again, I was not against the DQ. But given all that, Monomoy Girl comes in. And whereas this year on the boys' side, the 3-year-olds were a little dicey, although in the Classic, Catholic Boy and McKinsey, I think, now come in with some late season momentum to help validate maybe this 3-year-old class a little bit. But you get past Justify, and pretty much the 3-year-olds were a little juggled up for most of the late spring, summer, and early fall. But that wasn't the situation with the 3-year-old girls. Monomoy Girl, certainly top of the class virtually all year long. Midnight Bishu has been a solid contender that helped validate that 3-year-old filly class. But Monomoy Girl is going to be very interesting in that distaff, I think. Yeah,
Monomoy Girl definitely is going to be interesting. As you said, we saw her in the CCA Oaks up at Saratoga. And, you know, a lot early in that race, Midnight Bishu was the favorite, I believe, in the paddock off that Mother Goose win. So that was just an interesting race. And then the performance Monomoy Girl showed that she put on, that was even more impressive. So, you know, the Cotillion, I really thought could go either way. Yes, Florent went out with Monomoy Girl a few times, and yes, Mike Smith had to go in and out, but Mike Smith does that to everybody every time he thinks he's going to get past. So Again, I'm not the horse. It's
I
really.
think if Monomoy Girl hadn't
hit or miss.
floated down and forced Midnight
Exactly.
Bijou out, I think if Monomoy Girl had kept Midnight Bijou on the inside, I think she would have won.
Right, exactly. So, and about Abel Tasman, Abel Tasman could definitely bounce back, but I'm going to be interested to see what Monomoy Girl goes off. Will she go off as a favorite against Abel Tasman? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see that. But that 3-year-old girls we were talking about, I remember early in the summer, because Red Ruby threw in a great race in the Del Oaks and then in the Black Eyed Susan. So, without Red Ruby in that mix, the 3-year-olds really, with the girls, really goes through Monomoy Girl still.
Yeah, there was Wonder Godot during the year. She stepped up. And, of course, Roddy and Coach Rocks,
yeah.
also running well in that 3-year-old filly division. All right. We'll take a break. When we come back, that was a little review. When we come back, we'll do a little preview. Give you some ideas for this afternoon at the various venues. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more Racing Across America right after this.
Pick, bet, and cheer on live racing from Woodbine and Mohawk Park. Thoroughbred and harness action. The wagers are just the beginning. Watch award-winning broadcasts covering both breeds, incredible battles contested over the most unique grass course in North America. Experience the full fields with over 130 thoroughbred and 160 live harness days. Get access to free handicapping material and join the ranks of Woodbine and Mohawk Park players from all over the globe. For more information, visit woodbine.com.
Forever Unbridled has won the Breeders' Cup Distance. Talismanic is the winner. Good Magic's gonna win his first race, and Good Runner's on top of the world. He wins the Breeders' Cup Classic over Collected. Then came West Coast, followed by More Story. Arrowgate was coming late, but too late.
Visit Rivers Casino and Resort, the Capital Region's only destination for live table game action and the hottest new slots paying out millions. And they're off. Horse betting is now at Rivers Casino and Resort with Capital off-track betting terminals and live tellers located just off the gaming floor at Van Slyck's. Get in on all the action at Rivers Casino and Resort.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. Seth Merrow and Sully Karate. Let's take a look at some of the racing action for Sunday afternoon, see if we can hand out some clever ideas. Sully's going to kick things off race number 7 at Woodbine for Sunday. An optional claimer, $62,500 tags with a C condition in the 7th at Woodbine. They're scheduled to go 6 furlongs on the grass.
Yeah, so in race 7, yesterday at Woodbine, obviously another good card, but a little bit of an upset again with Pink Lloyd. Not a great start there. But next time out, look for Pink Lloyd. Maybe you'll get a little bit better of a price. But in the 7th race, I went 6-4, 2-1. I'm going to try to beat the horse that's probably going to be the favorite in the 12, going out for Robert Tiller, a horse that lost the stakes race by a neck. But I went with the 6 at a little bit of a price, Silent Flash. This is a horse that won last time out at a little bit lower of a level, but a horse that's trending in the right direction. Did win at the optional claiming level a couple starts back, but 3 starts back going 7 furlongs. I thought it looked better than that 6 by 5. Won off as a huge price, really had to battle that entire way, and now going back to a distance where the horse has had a lot of success, and also is going to be sitting off the pace. Doesn't necessarily need the lead here, but a horse that does show a little bit of a closing kick, has some nice works, including on September 15th had a really nice work, and second off that long layoff from August. This horse could throw in a little bit of a better number, and the horse still won with a 91 buyer last time out. The number 4 is Looking for Purse Money, a horse time and time again that has ran competitive in races where it really doesn't stand out on paper, but in races where the horse should win, doesn't really run well. The horse is dropping some weight. It does have the bug weight in the race, but this is also a horse that's run against the likes of Pink Lloyd and some other stakes runners up in Toronto, and a horse that continually runs 3rd and 2nd and 4th in those stakes races. I think the droppage of weight, the closing kick we've seen in a couple of stakes races makes this horse dangerous. Then the 2 horses, Call Me Wally. Alan Garcia will be aboard. He's had a nice weekend up to date up at Woodbine, a horse that has 3 wins over the surface, and all 3 wins have been at the distance. This is a horse sprinting that wants nothing to do with the lead at all. We saw that the last 2 starts, just really couldn't get up the finish there, but needs to be a little bit closer to the pace. Garcia will be in the irons for the 2nd start in a row. So in race number 7 at Woodbine, I went 6-4, 2-1. Seth's going to look at a couple races at Churchill, but first he's going to look at Belmont, race 3 at Belmont. This is a maiden 25 claimer, going 6.5 furlongs.
I stuck with a dirt race because we don't know what the situation is going to be, weather-wise, yesterday being canceled at Belmont. And I made this my play of the day on the sheet. You can click on the handicapper support link at capitalotb.com. Nice printable sheet. But play of the day is I'm going to box up my 4 and a triple here in the 3rd. State Bred maiden 25 claimers going 6.5. I have it 6, 2, 8, and 7. Devilry on top. Brad Cox trainee. Nice second at this level last time. Dropped to this level 2 back. Ran 5th, but again, seemed to kind of figure it out and just missed last time. So seems kind of logical. 2nd spot at Chemo, 7-5 favorite on the morning line. A couple of 3rd place finishes coming into this, but is making the move into a maiden claimer for the first time. So I think that's why we're getting the 7-5 favoritism. I'm just not convinced this horse is necessarily any better than the horse I put on top. So maybe we can knock this 7-5 morning line favorite down to the 2nd or 3rd spot in a triple and maybe get a little value. A Latin Love Bug, 6-1 on the morning line, I think on a best effort, absolutely belongs in the mix here. And Rodolfo in the 4th spot for me. Probably has to step it up slightly for Gary Siaka, but if this one can step it up on a little bit of class relief to boot, if this one can step it up, might add some value perhaps to this triple play. So again, in the 3rd at Belmont, I'll box mine up in a little bit of a try. 6, 2, 8, and 7. All right, let's go back to Woodbine and the 8th race at Woodbine on Sunday afternoon. It is the featured race, the Ontario Fashion for 3-year-old and up fillies and mares going 6 furlongs.
1, 3, 10, and 9 for me here in the 8th race. I did go with the number 1, Moonlit Promise, going out for Josie Carroll, and another phenomenal meet she has had up there. 20% winning percentage, and she's winning 18% of her stakes rate of her graded stakes races. She's done well with the sprints as well throughout the racing year, winning 19%. But this is a horse that you get the leading jockey on in De Silva, winning 28% of his races, and a horse that runs well over the Woodbine surface time and time again. 7 wins and 14 starts, 11 for 14 in the money, including 2 for 3 at the distance, including and 3 for 3 in the money. This is a horse that won a stakes race last time out. Really, I thought could have won that race by more than half a length. Was in greatest stakes company 3 previous starts. I'm willing to throw away 2 starts back. And 3 and 4 back, losing by 2.5. I know it was 6 by 2.5 and 3 by 2.5, but race against a really nice horse in 3 starts back. And Gamblers goes. So now they're going to cut this horse back again the 6 furlongs after an impressive win in a stakes race. Making the first start here in October. Really nice works heading into to this race. We'll use this horse on top at a nice 4-1 price. Number 3 is Code Warrior. There's not much speed in this race. The 2 is going to probably go to the lead, and then Code Warrior. So Code Warrior could wire this field if this horse could slow down the race and the pace just a little bit. Horse loves the distance, loves the Woodbine surface, but last time out in a Grade 2 event, looked like the horse would run away at a big price. Ended up finishing 7th by 6, but 2 starts back, did win a Grade 3 race, wiring the field going 7th. So a horse cutting back, a horse that is going to control the pace of this race, and Jesse Campbell wins a ton of races sprinting up in Woodbine. Majority of his wins have been sprinting. And then the number 10 horse, I think if you get 3-1, that's an absolute steal. That's Amy's Mesa, another Josie Carroll horse. Luis Contreras will be aboard for this one. 5 for 6 at Woodbine. Those 5 wins have been impressive. Some in some stakes race action, including a Grade 3 event earlier in the summer. Last 2 starts, I'm willing to throw away. Race against Finley's Lucky Charm at Keeneland, 2 starts back. And second off that layoff from April, another horse that should be improving a little bit as well. In the 8th race at Woodbine, I went 1, 3, 10, and 9. Moving on to Churchill Downs, opening day at Churchill Downs. Race number 3, this is a maiden special weight. This is for 2-year-old fillies, going 6.5 furlongs.
I have it 8, 4, 1, and 6. The number 8, Cairo Cutie, and Cairo Prince has gotten off to a nice start on the stud side of things. You know, this horse, $30,000 paid, so you know, they're not expecting a superstar necessarily, and there are horses in here like the 7 who they spent $250,000 for, but that one's had a couple of starts and certainly hasn't lived up to that big price yet. I don't think any of the horses that have run have jumped off the page by any means. So with Cairo Cutie on top and a trainer who can do okay first time out of the box, and a string of workouts underneath that I think are okay and the kind that a horse can maybe use as a foundation to run well in the career debut. We'll put Cairo Cutie on top. Beautiful Tail in the second spot. The Dallas Stewart trainee. I won't be surprised if this horse benefits from the first out education and moves forward. The number 1 fired a decent effort, 2 back. That was on the turf, but 3 back on the synthetic at Arlington was okay. Now the only dirt start, not so good, but it was a sloppy start at Keeneland, and it was 2 turns. So I think the cutback and maybe a dry track or a drier track today may be beneficial. Maybe the key is more the cutback, however. And I'll also toss in Golden Jasmine, 20-1 by Golden Sense. Love Golden Sense as a sire of win early types. Trainer's a little bit light, though, to move that one up. But if you want to play around with the potential, a little bit of a long shot, Golden Jasmine. Third at Churchill, 8, 4, 1, and 6. Finally, moving on to Woodbine's 9th race. Allowance non-winners are 1 other than mile and an 1/8 on the grass.
The 9th at Woodbine, I did go 5, 8, 3, and 2. We're going to take a little bit of a shot here with the number 5, Kate Mist. This is a horse that, after a little bit lighter of a claiming race, a really nice closing effort, jumped way up in class, went off 50-1, and finished a nice 4th that day. You're getting 15-1 for a horse that has some nice closing kick, that long mile and an 1/8 at Woodbine. And the stretch run takes forever there at Woodbine. So plenty of time for this horse to get to catch the leaders here. They were walking up front on a yielding turf course last time out, and the horse finished 4th, made up a little bit of ground that day. 2 and 3 back, a little bit quicker fractions, was set up perfectly for that horse. That's why the horse won by a couple lengths. But there is some speed here in this race. From the inside, you have the number 3, who's going to be your favorite with some speed. To the outside, you have the number 8, who's going to also be your second choice. So I think the race could just set up perfectly here for Kate Mist, a horse that showed some great closing speed against some slower numbers. The number 8 horse is one of those speed horses we're going to use underneath. That's Stuart Simon's horse, taking the blinkers off of this one for the first time since July over the summer. A horse that ran in a couple stakes races, did finally break that maiden last time out, but the horse ran well in some stakes races when the horse was still a maiden. Really nice work on October 20th for this one, a really nice bullet work, 46-2 going 4. And then the 3 is going to most likely be your favorite for Josie Carroll. Luis Contreras up as well for on this horse. A horse that's looking to get it done at the allowance level. Was close, 2 and 3 back, took a lot of money because of those performances, threw in a little bit of a clunker. You get Luis Contreras in the irons, I think will help this horse out, especially does have some early speed. So 2 back, kind of bumped out of the gate. I think a clean break, and on towards the lead, I think this horse potentially could run in the money, a little bit short of a price at 2-1, so we use underneath. In the 9th race at Woodbine, I went 5, 8, 3, and 2. And moving on to Churchill Downs, 8th race. The 8th race, this is the rags to riches. This is for 2-year-old fillies going a mile.
6, 2, 4, and 9 for me. The number 6 is Take Charge Angel. Good-looking debut right here at Churchill in September for Brad Cox. The workouts underneath say this horse is still on her toes. I'll use this one to break through in start number 2 in stakes action. Second spot, Mother goes out for Bob Baffert. You always have to pay attention to Bob Baffert bringing these kind east. And in the third slot, Into Mystic. Todd Pletcher trainee, broke the maiden October 7th at Keeneland in start number 2 after a career debut that was an okay second up at Saratoga. Paid $650,000 for this horse back in April, lived up to it with that nice win in the second career start, and certainly would be no surprise in here. Churchill's 8th, the Rags to Riches, 6, 2, 4, and 9. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, the Big A, Anthony Stabile, he'll join us. He's on his way down to Churchill for coverage of the big event for the Horse Racing Radio Network. We'll hear about that, get some of his early Breeders' Cup thoughts right after this. Stay tuned.
Dirty windows? Don't do it yourself. Call Clean Image, your window cleaning professionals, and enhance the look of your business or home without the worry. Clean Image pledges nothing less than 100% customer satisfaction. It's guaranteed. Homes, offices, bed and breakfast, vacation homes, and more. Clean Image has cleaned them all. Carpet and floor cleaning, pressure washing, and janitorial services are also available. Call today, 446-1397. That's 446-1397. Online at clean-image.net.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. As promised before the break, joined now by Anthony Stabile. He is stepping away from his sparring with Andy Serling on the NYRA pregame show to take a little respite down at Churchill Downs for Breeders' Cup week and weekend on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Anthony, good morning.
What's happening, guys?
Very good week ahead, certainly looking forward to the Breeders' Cup, and we want some of your thoughts on that, certainly. But before we do that, as I say, you're going to go down for Horse Racing Radio Network. Our friends Mike and Michelle Penna, you're part of the team with them on a regular basis. Give us a little update on what folks can expect from HRRN this week.
Yeah, big week. Anthony, up front behind, actually on our way down. We're in the middle of Pennsylvania on the Pensy Pike. Coverage starts Tuesday morning. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern. Breeders' Cup countdown shows presented by Hillsdale Farm, Jimmy John's of Lexington Stores. We're going to be broadcasting from the Red Brand tent on the backstretch, Churchill Downs. You can hear that on Sirius XM 205. And then we'll have the regular programming during the week. Breeders' Cup Friday and Saturday. Friday coverage from 3 to 6:30. That's followed by a half-hour weekend stakes preview presented by NYRA Bets. That's on from 3 to 7. Total Sirius 219 XM 201. And then Saturday, 12 to 6, 2 to 6, Sirius XM 205. It all streams at horseracingradio.net, and our Friday and Saturday coverage is presented by visitbarbados.org and Red Brand.
Excellent. And again, people can learn more going to the HRRN website. All the info is there as well. Looking forward to it. You guys always do a great job all year long. I love the jockey conversations and the trainer conversations. People can pick those up on the archive over at the website also. Those are very informative, nice background, and makes it easy to follow the people in the game. Anthony, let's get some thoughts on the Breeders' Cup as you're headed down there. I'm sure you've taken a look at some of the pre-entries and whatnot. And I wanted to take a chance to show that Lucas Classic to our viewers so folks could put that in their holster as they go forward. And this is going back to September 29th, Lucas Classic. It'll be number 6, Mind Your Biscuits, over number 4, Toast of New York. And I'd like your opinion. I think they made the right decision here. Chad Summers and team, and I know his brother works with you guys down at NYRA, and he's part of the team as well. But I thought with this win over the Churchill Strip, taking the shot at the Classic was the right move to me. What are your thoughts on Mind Your Biscuits?
Yeah, Chad and I used to be really good friends. He's had this idea since about 2 weeks before the Met Mile. And he ran so well in the Met Mile, and he ran so well. I'll go to my grave thinking if that track doesn't change and we don't have that delay with all the rain on Whitney Day, that Mind Your Biscuits would have won the Whitney. And then he ran as well as he did in the Lucas Classic. His two best races, in my opinion, before that Lucas Classic came in Dubai with his back-to-back Golden Shaheen wins. They've always said that the horse at Meydan, basically the same recipe they use at Churchill Downs. Boy, it certainly looked that way on September 29th He should work out the right kind of trip. I spent a lot of time around that horse the last year or so. And I'll tell you guys this. Until Biscuits fails at doing something, there's nothing I don't think he can do. So, I like him next Saturday. I think he gets the right kind of trip. And deep down, I think he's going to win the Breeders' Cup Classic.
You just kind of gave away who you liked in that spot there. Obviously, as a New York bred, and we wish Mind Your Business the best of luck. But going into the Classic underneath, how do you think some of these other horses will run, and who are these horses do you think that could run some big races?
Everybody's been talking, Sully, about how this is a wide open kind of year. And I agree with that, but really on paper, it accelerates race to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much more you want. 4 Grade 1s, 2 of them at the mile-and-a-quarter distance. But then you'll hear the other side of it. Sadler doesn't shit. He's 0 for 41 in the Breeders' Cup. So I understand that. But, you'd be remiss to throw him out of anything. I think you got to kind of save with him and use him a little protectively and defensively. I think Yoshida's going to run a big race. I know people say, he didn't beat much in the Woodward, and it was a slow race. But you know what? He did it the right way. He passed a lot of horses. It was his first dirt race. I think the mile-and-a-quarter hits him right between the eyes. He'll get some pace to run into. He's the other kind of horse I'm looking at. They're really the 3 for me. I'm not the biggest Accelerate fan, but, I don't know if how you can keep knocking this horse. You want to lean on Sadler and his bad luck, his bad record at the Breeders' Cup when he ships. That's all well and good, and I look at the intangibles. So yeah, he's not an A for me in the parlance of our times. But I think he's as logical as they get. But I'm going to be leaning heavily on Biscuits and Yoshida. They're the 2 for me, and you know what? They'll both be good prices.
You speak about an A for you. I want to see if you have maybe a double or a triple A here and agree with my opinion as a guy following New York racing. And again, we see you often down there doing the pregame with Andy, so you do follow the New York racing on a regular basis. Just your opinion in that Breeders' Cup juvenile filly turf. Is Newspaper a Record going to be a potential free square in here? I mean, you have the Europeans, and it's hard to know what they'll do. But what we saw up at Saratoga and then the Miss Grillo, boy, Newspaper a Record, it's just looked like a potential superstar.
Yeah, she's the bingo square, as my buddy Ellis Starr likes to say. For me, she is the most likely winner of any Breeders' Cup race on Friday and or Saturday. What I've seen has been devastating. I'll go as far as to say she's impressed me more at this stage of her career than maybe Eli did. It's just so effortless. It's amazing. She's one of those singular talents, and she'll get overlooked. Obviously, she's a 2-year-old filly on the turf, but they don't get as much respect as the other divisions do. But to me, people talk about Enable, and look, I'm a little bit of a fanboy when it comes to Enable. One of the first things I'm going to do on Tuesday or Wednesday morning is go find Enable. I'm a big fan of Enable, but you look at a horse like Enable, and she'll be one of the bigger favorites of the weekend. She has to overcome that ARC jinx. No ARC winner has ever won. She's a 2-time ARC winner, and she comes into it a little fresher this year than most of the others in the past have. Kind of been, you feel like John Gosden almost been pointing for it. And Catalina Cruiser and the Dirt Mile, they're the ones you're getting the most talk about as far as heavy favorites go. You go back to Catalina Cruiser and that Sadler record shipping, and in the Breeders' Cup, it holds true for him as well. So yeah, I think of all the 14 races they're going to run Friday and Saturday, Newspaper of Record is the most likely.
Yeah, her first 2 have just looked phenomenal. Anthony, before we let you go, anything, not going to lock in, obviously, until post positions are drawn and whatnot, but just taking a look at the pre-entries, any kind of clever ideas out there?
Yeah, the juvenile fillies on dirt on Friday. I like Vibrant, Mike McCarthy's filly. She's run 3 times in her career. They've all been around 2 turns. She won a mile and a 16th on a turf first out. She ran okay. Came back to Baker Maiden on the dirt. They were both at Del Mar. And then she ran second in the chandelier. Delafina ran away from her. I don't think Vibrance wanted to be on the lead, but there was no pace in there, so she went. Turned out she went a lot faster than she had to. She went faster than the boys did in the American Pharaoh. Now I think she gets her trip with some other, and she gets John Velasquez in the saddle. She's going to be, well, the one. I think she's a live long shot on Friday. Saturday, if the Visidero gets in the mile, if he needs one defection at this point, he is a two-time Grade 1 winner over the course. I know the mile's not his best distance, but I'll tell you, I am not overwhelmed by any of the Euros in there. I think it's Oscar Performance's race to lose this year. If the Visidero gets in, he'll be a bit of a fight.
Yeah, 3 for 4 over the course. That may be an interesting call. Anthony, appreciate the visit and some of the insights. Again, we'll tell people to swing by, check out the HRRN schedule via the website and listen to you guys during the week, because I'm sure plenty more big insights coming through. Give my best to Mr. Affronte, and most importantly, travel safe.
Will do. Remember, horseracingradio.net, over 20 hours of live coverage from Churchill Downs.
Looking forward to it. Good luck. Anthony, appreciate the visit.
Thanks, guys. Good luck.
The Big A, Anthony Stabile, and again, our friends Michael Michelle Penna, Horse Racing Radio Network down at Churchill to cover the Breeders' Cup this week. They always do a great job. The Visidero may be an interesting if he pulls in with the record over the course. A little horse for a course angle, always something to think about. All right, we'll wrap things up for this edition of Racing Across America. Oh, while we were talking in the first segment, I thought to pull it up, and I did because it was closing day yesterday at Keeneland. Todd Pletcher does wind up with the title just by 1 over Mike Maker. Todd Pletcher wins the trainer's title down at Churchill, 47% at the meet. Mike Maker, 1 win behind Steve Asmussen, a third, 1 win behind Maker. So Pletcher, Mike Maker, and Asmussen, 1, 2, 3 on the trainer side of things. On the jockey side of things, Tyler Gaffalione kind of ran away a little bit. 3 days ago, it was very tight amongst 4 of them, but Gaffalione gets a 3-win cushion. 15 wins for Gaffalione, Julian Leporeau, 12 wins underneath, and Brian Hernandez tied. We have 3 tied in the third spot: Brian Hernandez, Jose Ortiz, and Ricardo Santana. But Tyler Gaffalione, nice meet for Mr. Gaffalione.
But, he's one of those young riders, so I love betting Tyler Gaffalione everywhere he goes, especially on the grass.
Yeah, does he wind up moving out of Florida and taking a shot now that you've done well at Keeneland?
I mean, I don't really know.
I don't think it. At this point, with the big meet coming up at Gulfstream, I think he's headed back down there.
Oh yeah,
but what happens in the springtime? But particularly if springtime, maybe he elects to come back and try Keeneland Spring. If he has another big meet at Keeneland Spring, then
see him up here at the spot. That'd be great.
What do you do?
You would definitely think he's going to Keeneland Spring now after the championship meet in Florida.
Yeah, no question about it. All right. Bet 200, get 200. One more reminder that it kicks off tomorrow, October 29th, and goes through the 4th. Sign up for a brand new Capital Bets account and take advantage of the Bet 200, get 200 promotion. Free money, free couple of $100 once you bet $200 into your brand new Capital Bets account. Breeders' Cup Seminar coming up on November 1st. That's Thursday, 7 o'clock here at the Clubhouse Racebook. Mike Callahan, Sully, and myself will be here. Hopefully giving out some good information on the Breeders' Cup. That's Thursday evening, 7 o'clock. Racebook, Clubhouse Racebook here on Central Avenue, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. And that's also the location where you'll want to watch the Breeders' Cup. So reserve your seat now. Clubhouse Racebook for the Breeders' Cup. It'll be a lot of fun down here. And don't forget, this afternoon, it is an NFL Sunday. Love to see you down here for a visit to watch all the games and catch all the racing action on a Sunday afternoon. Every Sunday during the NFL season here at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany, NFL Sundays. So nice show. Some stakes recaps. Wink's looking phenomenal. A couple of 2-year-olds maybe to keep your eyes on in Boldor and So Alive. And some Breeders' Cup preview. Friend Anthony Stabile, again, Horse Racing Radio Network. Should mention also our friend Steve Bick and his show will be down at Churchill. I think he headed down this weekend, so he'll have his show all week live from Churchill Downs as well. So plenty of opportunities to get live on the ground Churchill thoughts. So again, we've been covering the workouts here on the network in the morning via the Breeders' Cup feed. That's been informative as well. So the potential is there for information overload.
Yeah, this is kind of wrapping up the horse racing year with the Breeders' Cup here, but really excited. Obviously, this week's going to feel like about 7 years leading up to Friday, especially with New York closing. Keeneland's now closed, so it's just kind of going to be dragging on. But can't wait for Friday, and then Saturday obviously just speaks for itself. That card's unbelievable. Just looking at the early PP, still kind of struggling with that. So going to be interesting to see who we all like on Thursday. Obviously going to be different opinions. So I can't wait for the seminar and then obviously for the weekend.
And with each of us having $1,000 for that
right.
$3,000 bankroll. And again, that also, the $3,000 Breeders' Cup bankroll, again, the entries close today here at the Clubhouse Racebook. If you want to put your slip in at the Clubhouse Racebook, swing on down today and put your entry slip in the barrel. And then online entries close on October 31st. So folks selected here at the Racebook, another group selected online. Join in. Each of us, Mike, Sully, and I will each have $1,000 and a different day part to play over the 2 days. So pressure's on.
Yeah, it definitely is. So again, I think I have the classic there, so I'm gonna have to go to work a little bit. But I already think I know who I'm gonna pick. But I don't want to give anything away yet.
No, yeah, you got to keep the options open just in case. A reminder also that there will be morning programming this Friday, Breeders' Cup Friday. We'll have Racing Across America on Friday morning as well, and I believe we'll be replaying seminars and whatnot. So plenty of programming on not only next weekend, but Friday as well. Also, I want to thank our friends at Woodbine for their sponsorship. Woodbine, pick, bet, and cheer on world-class racing north of the border. And somebody said something in my ear. Just say that again in case I'm missing something. Oh yeah, handicappers report as well on Friday. So again, plenty of Breeders' Cup information coming up during the week, OTB Live and whatnot. But Friday morning, mark that on your calendar. That's a little bit different, but with the Breeders' Cup on Friday, we'll do the Friday morning programming also. So hopefully plenty of good information that will allow people to cash tickets, because we want as much of that Breeders' Cup money coming back here to the Capital District as possible. Sully, good luck today.
Good luck to you.
And good luck to all of you. I'll be back in an hour and a half, couple hours or so with OTB Live for Sunday afternoon. We'll see you then.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.